Ndewo, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to discuss why didn't the Igbo gods, Alose, deities, water spirits, defend ndị Igbo against colonization, defend ndị Igbo against transatlantic slavery, defend ndị Igbo against religious incursions and religious indoctrination. Now, whenever this question is being asked, especially by non-traditionalists or people that don't have any affiliation or any love to the Igbo spiritual and cultural traditions, especially ATR, African Traditional Religion, or like I call it, ATB, African Traditional Belief Systems. For these people that don't have any love whatsoever for these spiritual institutions, they often ask this question from a place of mockery, from a place of um, feeling some sort of a superiority conflict complex, that they believe in a supreme God, while the traditional system, or people that believe in this traditional system, have their faith in a lesser being. So they are coming from a place of mockery and insulting the traditional belief systems. But then, why is it that these deities did not fight against this kind of incursion, which they would assume? Because if we understand the principle of Alpha, we know that Alpha talks about the present, the future, and the past. So we also have to live with the idea or the illusion that these cosmic forces were aware that Christianity is going to disrupt their system. But why then did they permit them to live? So I'm going to start with a story. Now, 2 years back, practically all my life, I've lived in Neri, Anambra State. I've always believed, because I was a Catholic. So each time I want to go to the Central Cathedral, Okwuani, I lived under the illusion, under the assumption that Okwuani is a Catholic church, is the Catholic church, the cathedral itself. Until recently, when I started to dive more into ordinary, into the Igbo spiritual system, I came to find out that the authentic place, or the reason why that cathedral is called Okwane, is because of the Ani shrine that lives or stays very close to the cathedral. Now, when I asked for that question, I found out that the whole of that region, including the cathedral itself, belonged to Ani prior to when colonization came and people started to sell their land. Now, when I investigated further, I found out that most Akajofo or most deities, because they have to work through the permission of these deities, they allowed these people to do what? To take over, or they gave them a piece of land, give them the permission to build their church, which means that from the onset, these deities had every intention of trying to live in harmony with the church. But the church had ulterior motives, which was basically to take from the people, convert them, and ultimately lead them to betray and to demonize their indigenous spirituality. But aside this information I just shared, I also want us to look at some of these perspectives that I feel contributed to why these deities just basically stayed on their own without any issues. Now, we need to understand the nature of Igbo deities. Now, unlike the assumptions that most of us grew up in, how ordinary, how Alose were being misrepresented, unlike all those things, what is this nature of Alose? First of all, Alose exists within the principle of Unso. It's just like saying that God exists within the principles of the Ten Commandments. When you keep the Ten Commandments, you can be able to have a good communication with the Creator, with God. It is the same principle. When we abide, when we keep to the taboos, to the insult of these deities, it means what? This deity can better serve us when we keep to those those moral principles that guide these deities. So these deities are not as vengeful as it has been interpreted within the religious doctrines. Now, these evil deities, which these Christians obviously they call them gods. Personally, I don't call them gods. I call them more, or I call them by their names. Now, they are not seen as supreme. Our ancestors never perceived deities, Alose, to be supreme, to be higher than them, or to be better than them. This is why our ancestors have this proverb, "Alose kpakalia ike, egosi ye osisi ejiri wee too ya." When a deity behaves or acts as if it is unruly, we are going to show it the stick or the tree where it was carved from. This is because human beings instituted deities not to serve to be above them or them beneath these deities, but for these deities to have a cosmic force, a cosmic medium that serves a higher purpose, that can connect to the creator, to the universal force, and through that system can now work for them. So this is where they instituted different deities, some for fertility, some for protection, some for justice, some for war, etc., etc. Now, during the institution of these deities, they also had an agreement or an arrangement with these deities. So it could mean that this deity would say, or this essence would say that if I'm going to do this for you, you are not going to approach me with a certain animal. For some of them, you don't offer them a male goat or you don't offer them a male animal. They say, do not offer me a blood-stained animal. Only offer me a white cockerel, a white chicken. They have specifications. They would also have some certain taboos that could fall within that falls in the lines of, you are not going to take what does not belong to you. You are not going to lie. You're going to live some sort of a holy or some sort of a righteous life. And because you are obeying these taboos, these moral principles, I can now serve you in this capacity. So this could be an arrangement that our ancestors made with these deities. So while our ancestors maintained these deities, they were also having intertribal wars that they will always find themselves in. It could be because of a land issue, a land tussle, but they would always find themselves in that situation. Because our people were able to perform this function by not defiling themselves, then these deities were able to perform the function. So they maintained those arrangements, the arrangements that helped them to secure their communities and themselves. That was before colonization. This is why before they started having any interaction with these foreigners. Now, when the foreigners came, our ancestors truly pushed back. They did not just enter into our the southeast. They didn't just enter into our communities and just waltz in and started to take, and started to colonize, and started to do. They did not do that. They encountered so many resistance. Now, while they were encountering this resistance, they needed to find a strategy that would work for them. And one of the strategies they picked up after so many encounters and having so many pushbacks, these are recorded within the annals of communal laws. So you have to go down to community and ask them all these questions that I'm ask them, how did their community, their ancestors push back? So while they had this so many pushbacks, they now had to do what? They started to manipulate. So they began to use some human agents, which are members of the same community that are trying to invade. they began to use them in such a way that they were promising them, so many shiny things that they have not seen before. And those people told them the communal secrets, told them, oh, that there is a certain probably animal that the ancestors or the community used to know when they are about to attack. So these people who they have been able to manipulate enough and who have sold their own conscience began to divulge community secrets and share this information with these invaders. And through the actions of these people, these invaders were able to enter into this community and conquer them. Now they just did it with their military. There are still layers to this invasion and conquest. They have the psychological one, which religion played their hands. When they came, they were offered land, they were offered food. The women were asked to go and prepare food for them and whatnot. And when they settled, they began to preach. And while they are preaching, they started to tell people that Ekwensu is the devil. But we know that Ekwensu is not the devil. So these were one of the things that they did or they said that aided in the colonial conquest of Ndi. When it comes to this issue of conquest, colonial conquest, we know that they did not fight a fair war. They did not use the power of Christ against the power of Amadioha. Rather, they fought a psychological war on a people whose first disposition is to welcome all strangers, except they prove that they are hostile to them. Now, the nature of the Igbo man is to accommodate. The Igbo man its acceptance is like our middle name. We are very accepting. We accept people of all ages, all race. We will accept you, except you're trying to fight us. So the missionaries were accepted. This is where our ancestors gave them lands and whatnot to make their stay comfortable. Hence, the psychological war or psychological manipulation they began to play on our minds. Now, aside from them, psychologically manipulating us to believe that Ekwensu is the devil, they also went further to demonize indigenous deities, and they promoted or demoted these deities to be evil and persuaded people to abandon the shrine and submit their deities to them. We have our personal chi, effigies of our personal chi. We have effigies of our personal chi. We have effigies of our Awo. We have effigies of Ngene and all those deities, which by demoting them, our ancestors thought or accepted the manipulation, the lies that they were what? Evil. Because these people have talked and talked and said, and mind you, before the older generations did not buy into this story, but the younger generations, because they were told, oh, bring your children, let us teach them how to read, let us teach them how to write, let us give them chances, because those people that they were interacting with, who were the translators, were eating large and benefiting from the white men. So most of our ancestors assumed that, oh, they could send their children to school and their children would also be getting these benefits. And when they sent their children to school, their children were indoctrinated. So some of them, then later the women were also indoctrinated, and at the end of the day, they started to submit their effigies, which the white man exported it to the country and placed it in his museums. Now, they brought new weapons. And military strategies unknown to the people, unknown to us. What they came with. We're using our usual spear and all those water. the bow and arrow, but they came with guns. But even though we had our own spiritual systems, spiritual mechanisms, spiritual tools that were effective. Like, if you know this thing they call Ibamadan Tutu. Igban Tutu was originally used as a war mechanics. But these days people are now using it to, you know, poison people, and it is not good. But it was one of the tools that our ancestors, in the ingenuity of our ancestors, but was used as a war tool back in those days. Even though our ancestors fought back, they could not also fight two wars at the same time. They could not fight against the invaders and also fight their own people who were being used by these people as well. So all of these things contributed to, our ancestors losing. Now, they also used Christianity to divide us. Now, unlike other fools, because I've said before, we had inter-tribal wars. So unlike those times that our ancestors were fighting each other, they conquered. Some of them used all these war mechanics and they survived it. And they were able to defeat their opponents. But they were now fighting themselves. Infighting became a thing. So the idea of some of them supporting Christianity and some of them still trying to maintain their system, it created an animosity. Brothers began to fight brothers, and this diminished their confidence. And the community, they began to doubt their faith and their own strength. Now, the Westerners, or these invaders, they manipulated them into believing that the Western way of life and their religion is better than what they already have. I've actually said something about this thing before. They began to tell them, oh, look at my skin. So most of these ancestors, or these people that betrayed their brothers, they wanted to just be like the white men because they were promised luxury. They were promised things that they are going to benefit if they help them. And some of them, after their betrayal, they were Tomet chiefs, warrant chiefs of those communities. So all those things, human greed is everywhere. Human greed is everywhere. So because of what they would get from these invaders, some of these men betrayed their own brothers. Now, I don't want us to remember something, that spiritual forces often work together through belief and communal cohesion. Now, once faith shifts, the deity's influence became less effective, and people began to consider another way of life. The influence they had began to dwindle. Now, Igbo spirituality, it's built on human agency. It was built on the principle of free will. It's an integral aspect of ordinary, which means that unlike what a deity wants to do, human beings are the people that make the ultimate decisions. So deities don't counter them. So when these invaders came, most people were accepting. Most people they didn't really tell this deity, oh, this is what this we're trying to do, come and defend, come and. They did not even understand what was happening to them. It was gradual. It took them unawares. They were just coping. They were just trying to be accommodating. They were just trying to see, and subtly, one brick at a time, they were being conquered one after the other. Now, another thing that they used here is the disruption that emboldened sacrilege. Now, when these white men, or when these invaders were able to tell them, oh, your ancestors are this, your ancestors are that, your deities are evil, they even demystified the mysterious, because one thing our ancestors used to maintain social control was the fear of these deities, the fear that Annie is going to fight against you. So most of these things that were sacred were mythical, were mysterious to our people. So some of these white men demystified it, and while they were demystifying it, they made a mockery of this sacred system, and it now made people to believe, oh, these things might just be fables. It might just be them trying to scare me. So they emboldened sacrilege. Now, with the disruption of colonization and the early missionaries, They began to demystify things that our ancestors saw as sacred. Therefore, the fear that regard or surround some certain things did no longer have the same influence it had before the invaders came. So at the end of the day, it weakened our spiritual system. So there could be other factors that contributed to, while it's as if these deities did not act or did not do anything. But what I want us to remove from our mind is the delusion that Christianity defeated Igbo traditional belief system because of the idea that God is supreme, or God favors Christianity or other alternative, or the idea that God favors Christianity, Islam, than it favors Igbo spiritual system. Because of course our ancestors already had an idea, a concept of God. The only difference is that we're not worshiping or believing in God through the lens of Islam or through the lens of Christianity, but rather through the cultural lens of Ordinary. So I don't know if I'm able to answer some of these questions, or to, I don't know if I'm able to give you some sort of a food for thought, but I would like to hear your thoughts via the comment section. So until, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment and hit the notification button or the notification bell, so that when I upload a new video, you're going to be notified. And until next time, have a wonderful day.